It's my job to get you to pass the Series 7 exam, the Series 7 top off, Series 7, whatever you want to call it. It's my job to get you past it. So welcome to my class. Today, we're talking about the thing that scares everyone. We're talking about the big kahuna, not options. Big old annuities, okay? We're talking about annuities today, fixed and variable. So let's get a move on. Okay, so let's talk about annuities. Annuities are retirement plans. Okay, so they're a retirement plan. They're not the best. You should not do annuities because they have a lot of fees until your 401k is capped out. Your IRA, you have insurance, you have a 6-month thing, and a lot of other shit. If you have all your retirement plans, everything set away, your life insurance, 401k, IRA, everything else capped out, where you can't put more money in, then we can think about annuities. Now, in theory, annuities are great, okay? But in practice, they're not so great because there's a lot of fees and taxes, not taxes, but a lot of fees that come out of it, a lot of rules. So let's just say overall 10,000-foot view. Annuity is a retirement plan, non-qualified, which means the money goes in after taxes, but it does grow tax deferred. And then when you annuitize, you get paid for the rest of your life, so you'll never run out of money. Sounds awesome, but there are some issues. So let's get into it and see what happens. First, we have to talk about that it does grow tax deferred. It's non-qualified. If they don't say anything to you, assume it's non-qualified. What does non-qualified mean? It means it's after tax. It grows. Remember, qualified or unqualified, it's about the contribution for the most part. And then the growth is always going to be tax deferred. It's just that when you take the money out on a non-qualified, you only tax on the growth part, not the part you put in. Or a qualified plan, you would tax on every penny because it's never been taxed. Now, they don't really talk about fixed annuities too much on the test, but we have to talk about the two of them. So a fixed annuity versus a variable annuity. A fixed annuity is not a security. A variable annuity is. A fixed annuity, everything is fixed. The amount of money you're putting in, the growth, and then when you get paid out, the payment is set. So you don't really have any market risk at all because you know what you're getting. It has a guaranteed payment. You put in your money, it grows at this rate. And then what happens is when you annuitize, here's your payment. That never changes. There's issues with that, right? Because if you're getting paid the same amount of money every month for 30 years, in the beginning, that's great. But then inflation kicks in, right? And then all of a sudden your $400, $500 a month is not buying as much. So that's a problem with fixed annuities. So if you have a fixed annuity, because I'm not going to go into it other than right now, fixed annuities don't have any market risk because you're not risk of not making money. But you have inflation risk because you're only making a set amount of money and it's not growing. So that's about as far as I'm going to go with fixed because nobody gives a shit. Okay. So we're going to talk about variable annuities. Variables are more fun in theory. So when you put money in a fixed account, a fixed annuity, it's in the general account. When you put the money in a variable annuity, it's in the separate account. Separate account is where your money's at risk. And what happens is in the separate account, there are sub-accounts. You can choose where you want your money to go. So in a variable annuity, you go, look, here's my separate account. I want 20% in this, 20% in that, 30% in that. I'm not going to do the math. But the point is you can say, oh, I want conservative. I want this kind of mutual fund. Remember, you're not investing in the actual securities. You're investing in the mutual funds, okay? And you determine your risk based on what kind of mutual fund you invest in. So that's where your money goes. All your money that you deposit is put into sub-account or the separate account, which is then put into sub-accounts. Now, there are different types. So you can put the money in lump sum. If you do that, okay, if you do lump sum, you can do anything you want. You can do a deferred annuity where you put it in and let it grow for 20 years and then start taking it out. Or you can do an immediate annuity where you put it in and then you start getting paid the next month. And then you paid for life. Remember, in a nutshell, annuity pays you for life, but we'll get into the details. Again, immediate annuity is if you do a lump sum, you can do an immediate annuity where you get paid right away, or you can do a deferred and wait. If you do a contract plan where you're putting money in every month for 20 years, you can only do the deferred. You can't do immediate. Because, I mean, think about it. How can you put money in and take it out at the same time? Only the government can do that. Okay, so let's get into how this really works. So we have two phases. We have the accumulation phase. Let's hope I can spell it right. Accumulation phase, and that's the pay in, and then we have the annuitization phase. Annuitization phase, that's the payout. So let's make it easy. So pay in, pay out. So you're getting paid, okay? That makes it simple. Okay, I hope this is fucking recording. Okay, now remember it's non-qualified, so this goes in after tax. And then on this side, you're taxed pretty much on the growth, on the way up. Taxed on growth only. Growth, what's the word is that? Growth only. Okay, so let's say you decide to put, oh, that is ugly. Boom. Let's say you decide to deposit 20 grand. Now remember something, there is no limit because it's non-qualified. There's actually no limit to how much you can put in. You can put $1 million in there. If you win the lottery, if you win the lottery and you want to make sure that you're paid for life, it's kind of weird, but you can just do this and put your money in and then start getting paid. Okay, so you can put the money in. Remember, it's after tax. It has been taxed. So there's no limit to how much you can put in. You can put it 200 grand, 20 grand, $1 million, 10 million, whatever it is. The IRS doesn't care because you've already paid taxes on it. So they don't give a shit. Now you put the 20 grand in and you're invested in the sub accounts, a separate account, the sub accounts. You're choosing where you want to go. Now the money goes in and it grows up and down and up and down. But let's say after 20 years, it's now up at 100K. Put the dollar sign, 100K. Boom, that's what we have. That's great. We put in 20, it's now 100. We haven't paid a dime in damn taxes yet at all because it's going tax deferred. Let's put in here, tax deferred. No taxes on it yet. But now when you want to take it out, if you decide right here at 100 grand, you have a bunch of choices. You can say, you know what? I just want to withdraw the 100. Well, that's fine, but you're going to pay taxes on this 80 grand. And if you don't take it out a lump sum, they do what they call LIFO, where LIFO is last in, first out. So you're going to start here and work your way backwards, okay? So what happens is you take, say you take out 20 grand, that's taxable. You take out another 20 grand taxable. Once you've taken out 80 grand, then you start eating into your principal, which is not taxable. That's LIFO. Now, to be fair, you can do this anytime, but if you do it before you're 59 and a half, you will pay a penalty, 10% penalty on top of your taxes, and possibly surrender charges for the annuity because they want your money in there. They might say, listen, we expected 20 years. You're only putting it for 10. We're jacking you for a little bit. Okay. Now, if I want to annuitize, I don't have to be 59 and a half. I can be any age I want. I can put the money in when I'm 25 and at 26 go, you know what? Annuitize me. Totally fine. Okay. There's also a death benefit. Okay. So the death benefit is only on this side of the line, okay? The death benefit is only on the accumulation side of the line, okay? So if you die before you annuitize, okay? So I'm getting on my bus, hey, I'm gonna go annuitize it. I'm driving in my car and bang, I get run over by a bus. Then I die, obviously, because a bus is bigger than my car. My family will get the 100 grand, my money. And the good thing is they have a minimum. So let's say, so they get the greater, they get the 100 or what I put in. So let's just say in my variable annuity, I mean, it's a really bad picks and I lost money and it's only worth 18. They will still get 20. Well, I thought there was more to drink in there. That is really depressing. So now the death benefit will give them that money. They will get that, boom. Now they do pay taxes on it. They will pay tax on everything above 20 because usually when you die and a security happens, they step up your cost basis, not this. They do not step up the cost basis. So your family's going to owe the money on everything above 20. So they will owe taxes on 80 grand. But let's not be morbid. Let's get out of the death benefit thing. Boom. Now we have 100 grand in cash because that's what it's worth. And now remember something, when we buy into this, I should have said this, when you buy into this, what you're doing is you're buying what they call accumulation units, okay? And you buy them at NAV plus a sales surge, just like a mutual fund, because this is covered by the Investment Company Act of 40, we're good. Now, what you're gonna do is you go, well, you know what, it's time. I'm gonna come over here and annuitize it. So I bring my 100 grand over here, they sell the accumulation units, and they buy annuitization units. Now, the thing is, once you buy the units, that number is set. It doesn't change. I see the vendors ask the question. I don't really think the test goes into that, but bring it up anyway. Now, what's going to happen is you have the 100 grand and you could take the money and walk away. That's totally fine. But you want to annuitize where you're paid for life. So they're going to, depending on your choice. So let's say we choose what they call straight life or life only. Okay. I'll even say just here, it'd be a little tricky, life only. Okay. That means you're getting paid only until you die. And that's the magic of the annuities, is that you're paid until you die. You cannot run out of money. Once you annuitize, you can't change your mind. It's stuck, but you're paid for life. If you live for 150 years, they get to keep paying you. They have to. It's just part of the contract. So if you choose straight life, that's going to be the highest payout. Okay. That's the highest payout. And we'll say, okay, so, and then this is what they do. They look at your lifespan, like at me, say I turn 60, they go, you're fat, you eat horribly, you're going to live for another 20 years. I'll take it. Okay. So let's say they think I'm going to live for 20 years. Yours, is it like Norwegian for a year? 20 years. So 100 grand divided by 20 years, that is going to be 5K a year. 5K a year divided by 12. That means I'm getting, we'll say it's 416. I think I did the math once before, so I remember it's $416 a month. So that means I'm going to get $416. Now, let's not assume growth or anything, but let's just say right now, I'm planned to get $416 a month until I die. Fair enough. But here's the problem. If I then die, then the insurance company keeps the rest. So if I get one payment, remember, this is them paying me $400 a month. I've already paid in. Now they're paying me $400 a month. Say 2 months from now I die. They've only paid me out $832. In this scenario, they keep the 100 grand. They keep the rest, the other $99,200, whatever it is. They keep that and they're done. I'm out. My family gets nothing. Okay. That's straight life. That's highest payout because it's the highest risk. But remember, here's the other thing. If I live beyond the 20 years, okay, they pay me for 20 years. If I live beyond the 20 years, they have to keep paying me this or whatever the number is. Great. Okay. That's awesome. So I cannot run out of money. That's why I like this. So that's one choice. Another choice is joint and last survivor. That's like a couple, like 2 people, 3 people, whatever it is, and they will pay until the last person dies. So the payout will be less because you're going to use the one with the longest lifespan plus other numbers. So maybe that, I'm again making numbers up, that'd be like $350 a month maybe. But again, they will pay until all of us die. So if I part of it, if I do this and then I die, whoever else I'm part of will keep getting paid until they die. As one of my students said, they call it last to die, which is a little morbid, but it is what it is. Now, the other one is, everyone screws up, life with period certain. Life with period certain. That means they're paid for a minimum number of years, but it is still a goddamn life annuity. Don't forget that. You are paid until you die. That's the point of annuities. You are paid until you die. If you decide to do a limited withdrawal, say for 5 years, then it ends after 5 years. That's not an annuity. The annuitization part is where you're paid until you die. But what they do here is they put a set number of years that they will pay. So say we do 10-year period certain, okay? That means if you live for 4 years, they're going to pay your little chickadees or your beneficiary for another 6 to finish out the 10 years. But if you live beyond the 10 years, they keep paying. So they will pay you until you die. But again, since the risk is on the insurance company that they will have to pay you for 10 years no matter what, maybe it goes down to 325 or something. Who knows? I don't know the numbers. Now, the fourth one, I've never really seen a lot of questions on. They have a unit refund annuity. That means if you die before you've gotten paid out the whole 100 grand. So that means if you get paid out before you've paid out the whole 100 grand, they send the rest to your beneficiaries. That one, I have no idea how they make their money on that, but whatever. So that's the four choices of payout. So you can choose it. There are other ones, you can tweak them, whatever it is, but that's your choice. Now, remember something, once you annuitize, you can't change your mind. You can choose what you invest in with your payout in your separate account, but you can't change your payout choice. If you choose this and then you wait, I don't want to do that. You want to change to that, you can't, you're stuck. Okay. We okay with this? This is kind of the basics of, we're going to go into the payout changes and all that. But I want to make sure we understand that this, again, you're putting money in, it grows tax deferred, then you get paid, and then you get paid for life if you annuitize. The problem with this is there are some problems. One, there's a lot of fees. So there's a thing called mortality risk. Mortality risk is that you're just going to keep living and they have to keep paying you. So somehow they factor that into your payments and they reduce your payout by that a little bit. Not a big amount, but it's there. Then there's expense ratio. The expense risk is the fact that the cost of running this plan will go up and up and up and up over the years, but that's not on you. Again, that's on the insurance company. So they owe that. But again, they take a little bit off the top to offset that risk, because insurance companies are all about offsetting risk. So that goes in, that comes out of your end, but it's fine. I mean, that you're good on that. Okay. So remember, on a fixed annuity, you get a set payment no matter what. So the insurance company takes on the market risk, but you have inflation risk. But here we reverse it. They don't have inflation risk or anything, but here's what happens. You're going to do this, and we're going to go into the variable annuity where your payment is invested in the separate account. So that money will go up and down based on how your separate or sub accounts do. So you're taking on the market risk, the insurance company isn't. So let's get into it. Okay, so here we are. You finished up with 100 grand. We're going to use AIR. That's a new one. So AIR is the assumed interest rate. It's not a benchmark. It is a benchmark. It's not a guarantee of anything. It's a benchmark. It's basically what the insurance company thinks they could earn if they didn't try. Very conservative investment. Okay. Now that's your benchmark. If you beat that, your payment goes up. If you lose it, if you miss it, your payment goes down. So let's say in January, your first payment is $416. That's what we figured out. And let's say during that month, you earn, your separate account goes up 6%. Again, I'm just using numbers. You would never have this much in a month, but say 6%. That means your payment in February will rise to, like, I don't know, making it up $450. Again, these are not mathematical numbers. You get $450. Now, why did it go up? Because your return is higher than AIR. That's it. Now that's good. Now remember something. Your payment is based on the previous month, but your return is based against AIR. So let's say the next month we do 5.5%. Now that's less than the previous month, but it's still higher than AIR. So this payment will go up from here. So maybe it'll go to, like, not a lot. Maybe it'll go up to like 455, making it up. Now let's say this month you earned 5%. Okay, let's compare. Well, you earned exactly the same as AIR. So that means you're going to do the same. So over here, we're going to do 455 again. Doesn't change. Okay. Now let's say this month you earn 4.8%. Now let's compare it. 4.8. Well, that's less than AIR, so your payment's going to go down. Now remember, your payment's going down from this. This one doesn't matter anymore. This is your world. So maybe your payment goes down to like 450. And then maybe the next month you do 4.9%. We compare that to AIR. Boom, that's still less, so our payment's going to go down again. So that's how it works. That's how the AIR works. Remember, it's a benchmark. It's not a guarantee. So basically, keep in mind, one, you compare your return in the separate account, not in the market, in your separate account with the separate accounts versus AIR. If it's better, your next payment is higher. If it's the same, your next payment does not change. If it's less than AIR, your next payment goes down, and on and on and on. So technically, if you earn 5.1% every month in this case, your payment will go up every month. If you get 4.9%, your payment will go down every month. Okay, I'm not done. We got more to do, but this is like the functions of this. Let's get into it. Now, taxable. Remember something. In our scenario, we put in 20 grand, and we grew it in 20 grand, and it grew to 100. So that means 20% of our plan is tax-free now because it's already been taxed, return of principal. And then 80%, which is the 80 grand, right? I did those numbers on purpose because I can't fucking add. 80% is going to be taxable. So they do that here. So your payment, each of these payments, you don't have to do the math, will be 80% of it will be taxable, and 20% will be tax-free return of principal. So we can do that. I don't have the calculator, so I'm not going to do it. But so I guess we're screwed. But there you go. So that's how the taxable portion goes. And every month it'll change. Every month it'll be 80% of this and 20% of that forever until you die. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about this stuff. So as far as suitability goes, right? So as far as suitability goes, variable annuities are for people who don't want inflation risk, and they're a little on the younger side, like maybe under 60, they can handle the risk of the market fluctuations. Over 65, you probably want to be more to the fixed because they can't ride out the bad years and stuff like that because they're on the older side. If you see elderly, think fixed. If you think middle age or younger, then think variable because they can handle it. Okay. remember a couple of things. So whenever we do an annuity, we have to get principal approval. I don't even know how many days it is. Usually it's like 7 days. Yeah. So after you sell an annuity, you have to get principal approval within 7 days. Usually they send it to the principal at the OSJ, Office of Supervisory Jurisdiction, not fucking FINRA. You're sending it to your Office of Supervisory Jurisdiction, like your main office. Okay. That's the big one. Okay. So now, okay. So a couple more things on this. One, while you can't, it's not prohibited to buy a variable annuity in a retirement account. It's kind of like frowned upon. It's like a red flag. There better be a good reason for it, because I mean, you don't put a tax deferred thing in a tax deferred account. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, there may be reasons to do it, but the point is, it's kind of like a red flag. It may not be bad, but like, hey, take a look at me, make sure I'm not doing anything wrong. Also, if you want to exchange from one annuity contract to another, like from one firm to another, there's a thing called the 1035 exchange. You can exchange annuity for annuity. The problem is it's fucking expensive. So if you do it on a period less than every 36 months or every 3 years, it's going to be a problem. They're going to basically think of you as a churning or being unsuitable. So if you're going to do that, make sure, don't do it. But if you're going to do it, make sure that it's at least 36 months in between exchanges, or they're going to think that you're fucking your customer. Okay, thanks for listening. That's a variable annuities pretty much. That's as much as you probably need to know for the test. You can make sure you read the chapter 100%. But look, if you like what I'm doing, like, subscribe, share this shit, tell your college professors. Let's go. Let's tell the people you work with, tell your bosses. I'm trying to get it out there. I'm trying to give back. Okay. I'm trying to give back. And because not everyone can afford all the books. Not everyone gets, some people get stuck with AD Banker and Exam FX and they're fucked. So at least this can help bridge the gap between the lack of knowledge and passing the fucking exam. So guys, keep your hands clean, wash your hands.